Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving into one of the most intriguing political confessions of the year. ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba has finally admitted to two major missteps that, in his own words, still weigh heavily on him. First, he underestimated the rise of the uMkhonto weSizwe party, and second, he regrets ever joining the Moonshot Pact with the Democratic Alliance. These are not small matters, they go straight to the heart of South Africa's shifting political landscape. Now, when a politician admits they were wrong, South Africans usually raise an eyebrow. It's not every day you hear a leader say, "I made a mistake." Normally, it's excuses about being misquoted, misunderstood, or mysteriously sabotaged. But Herman Mashaba has taken a very different route, openly reflecting on where he miscalculated. Let's start with the MK party. Ahead of the 2024 elections, Mashaba, like many analysts and politicians, did not expect Jacob Zuma's new political home to achieve the kind of surge it did. He now admits that the support base of MK, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, caught him completely by surprise. And to be fair, he wasn't the only one. Before the election results came in, many commentators predicted that MK would be a fringe party, perhaps winning a handful of seats. What actually happened was a political earthquake. The MK party stormed into parliament, disrupted the balance of power, and changed the way coalition politics had to be negotiated overnight. Think about it, the ANC, once the unchallenged giant, suddenly had to calculate its future with Zuma's MK looming in the background. Municipalities that were already unstable became even more chaotic. And in the middle of this, Mashaba, who prides himself on being a businessman with a sharp sense of timing and numbers, was forced to admit that he didn't see it coming. He underestimated the Zuma factor, the nostalgia factor, and perhaps the anger factor that pushed many voters towards MK. This is where it gets interesting. By acknowledging his error, Mashaba has put himself in a vulnerable position, but also an honest one. South African politics thrives on denial. Leaders cling to their decisions like a life raft, even when the ship is already underwater. Yet Mashaba has said, on record, that he misread the moment. And that's a rare kind of political honesty. Now let's move to the second regret, the Moonshot Pact. For those who don't follow the finer details of political chess, the Moonshot Pact was the brainchild of the DA, a grand alliance of opposition parties meant to break the ANC's dominance. On paper, it sounded heroic, various smaller parties, standing shoulder to shoulder, marching together to save South Africa. The problem? The marriage was rocky from the start. Mashaba now says he regrets ever joining. Why? Because it didn't serve ActionSA's interests. It made his party look like a junior partner to the DA, a sidekick rather than a leader in its own right. And in South African politics, being seen as the DA's sidekick is almost the kiss of death for attracting black working-class voters. The DA has always struggled with that perception, and ActionSA's alignment only amplified the problem. Mashaba's words are worth quoting here. "I regret ever joining the Moonshot Pact. It was a mistake." That is a blunt statement, stripped of the usual political spin. It shows that he now wants to distance ActionSA from the DA's shadow and reposition his movement as something truly independent. This is where strategy comes in. Political analysts argue that Mashaba's admissions are not just about looking back, they're also about the future. By acknowledging the strength of MK, Mashaba signals that he recognizes the new realities on the ground. By cutting ties with the Moonshot Pact, he's telling voters that ActionSA will not simply dance to the DA's tune. He wants authenticity, independence, and perhaps, a fresh path to relevance ahead of the next elections. But here's the catch: is this honesty a strength or a weakness? Some observers praise him for coming clean. Others think it shows political vulnerability, the kind that rivals will pounce on. South Africa's political stage is not a place where humility wins you medals. It's a place where your mistakes are replayed again and again like old football highlights. Just ask Jacob Zuma, his legal mistakes alone could fill an entire season of SuperSport reruns. Let's take a step back and look at what this means for ActionSA. The party has always positioned itself as a fresh alternative, a voice for ordinary South Africans tired of corruption, tired of endless promises, tired of being ignored. But building that identity has not been easy. Aligning with the DA under the Moonshot Pact diluted ActionSA's brand, making it look more like a branch office of the opposition rather than a force of its own. Breaking free from that image is crucial if the party wants to grow. Meanwhile, the MK party's meteoric rise tells us something else: South African voters are unpredictable. Many politicians assumed Zuma's era was finished, that his influence had dwindled to late-night rants and courtroom drama. But the people proved them wrong. MK tapped into frustration, resentment, and identity politics in a way that shocked the establishment. And Mashaba, by his own admission, was caught flat-footed. So, what lessons can be learned from all this? First, never underestimate Zuma. Love him or hate him, the man still knows how to rally people. Second, opposition parties need to think carefully before entering alliances that blur their identity. And third, honesty might be risky in politics, but it can also reset the narrative. Mashaba is clearly trying to reset. By confessing his mistakes, he is attempting to carve out a new direction for ActionSA. Whether voters will reward him for that humility remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, his comments have sparked a wider debate about what it means to lead an opposition party in a country where political tides shift faster than taxi fare increases. At the end of the day, Mashaba's reflections remind us that politics is not just about strategy and power, it's also about timing, instincts, and the ability to read the mood of the people. Miss that, and you risk fading into irrelevance. So what do you think? Is Mashaba showing rare courage by admitting his miscalculations, or is he simply exposing his weaknesses at a dangerous time? Should ActionSA go it alone, or does it still need alliances to compete with giants like the ANC, EFF, and now the MK party? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into South Africa's ever-changing political theatre. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.